friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Welcome to Monday Q&A. That was some jungle gym bashing, some actual jungle gym bashing from the 2S rig from Saturday when I was waiting for Azalea to finish up her guitar lessons. Tonight, we are going to take the Flywoo 23,500 kV motors off this. I do air quotes because they perform like 22,000 kV motors. That I have motor limited down quite a bit. I want to say it's at like 75% right now. And we're going to switch them for a much lower kV set of motors. These are T-Motor 1002 18,000 kV motors. I'm probably still going to have to motor limit these down a little bit, but I'm only going to have to motor limit them down a little. I was very tempted to go with the RC and Power 1002 14,000 kV motors, which I have on the on one of the tiny lifters, but I'm addicted to testing every single product that exists, and B, when I did the maths on the amount, so I spent a few batteries turning the motor limiting up and down on these 23,500s, and that when I did the math, I just used 22,000 kV as my reference number. Where I ended up with the motor limiting that I liked, with the right amount of power, the amount of power that I want, was up closer to like 15,500 kV. So 18,000 kV motors are going to make a lot more sense because I can motor limit them down maybe to like 85%, maybe 90%, and get the amount of kV, versus if I were to get the 14,000 kVs, I'd have them at 100%. And there's a chance that they would make enough power. On the tiny lifter, I dig them. But for this guy, I figured, hey, I've already tested those RC and Power 1002s. I know that they're good. I haven't really heard much about these T-Motor 1002s, and 18,000 kV is kind of perfect because then I will have a little bit of motor limiting. I really try to not buy motors that are the exact right kV that I have to run at 100%, because then I don't have any extra. If I want a little bit more power, there's nothing I can do. I have to buy a higher kV set of motors. I always like to get a set of motors that are 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 kV too high, and then I can limit them a little bit in Betaflight, and I have a little bit of range to, if I get like a really low pitch propeller, for example, I can just turn the RPM up and make up that difference in power. So yeah, that's the plan for tonight. We're going to swap these on. Last night I was on Shelby Vol and the fellas, I almost said podcast, live stream, which was a blast. I felt a little bit out of place at first, but I warmed up to the gang. I hadn't watched their live stream since last year, and holy hell has it changed. When I watched their live stream, it was like the standard like split screen hangout, watching some videos. Last night, holy cow, man, they've got like segments, and like I felt super underprepared, and I kind of felt like a jerk. They'd asked me like, have you watched it before? I'm like, yeah, I watched a bunch last year when it first kind of popped up, but I didn't think about it. I didn't think to like watch a bunch of the more recent ones to kind of get some of the inside jokes and whatnot. So I kind of felt like an idiot in that respect, but I got over it as quickly as I could and joined in on some of the fun. So yeah, if you want to see a very awkward CiottiFPV, check that out. Definitely check out their live stream though. It is nuts, man. They do the weather. They have a freestyle competition. They have phenomenal pilots. The videos that they watch on there are from like amazing pilots. And yeah, the group of guys has like a really good sort of like camaraderie and relationship. And yeah, I was super, super, super impressed. I just, admittedly, I wish I'd been a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I'd understood more of like the inside jokes and whatnot. You know what I mean? And all I would have had to do was watch some of their more recent live streams. I don't know. I just didn't think to do that. Like, if I hadn't seen them before, I would have. Like, I would have familiarized myself, and I would have, like, crammed a little bit. But, like, I didn't realize it. Probably about a year ago, when their live streams started popping up and I started seeing them, I would put them on when I was working on stuff. And, yeah, that's just what I thought it was. I didn't realize it was such an awesome sort of production. Like, the production value is just bananas. Halfway through it, I was like, Shelby, this is insane. Who the hell did all this? This is wild. So yeah, that was super fun. Go check those guys out. Also, they're doing a very cool freestyle competition where I love the setup. So they've got like the open division, and then they've got the pro division, which is just like brilliant. Like, I don't enter many freestyle competitions because like it feels weirdly unfair. Like this is what I do full time, and I've been doing this for 8 years. And to just lump myself in with everybody else, it feels weird, right? Like, somebody that's a year in the hobby is going to have no chance against somebody that's been doing this forever. And like, that just feels, yeah, I just don't love that. So they've done like the open division and the pro division, and you can enter into either. If you enter into the open division and you win, you automatically get bumped to the pro division. And then if you enter into the pro division and you win, you get bumped completely out, which is just, I love that. That's such like a brilliant, super simple way of kind of doing that. I'm going to try to find a little bit of time to do some freestyle flying and actually knock out an edit and put something into their pro division. And see. Although, judging from some of the stuff just judging from the state of freestyle FPV and some of the videos they were playing last night, I won't hold a candle to any of the other entries into their pro division. But that's okay. It's fun. It gets me out flying. It gets me editing. And that's kind of the point. So you guys should too, man. Push yourselves, enter the open division, enter the pro division, whatever you feel most comfortable entering. And yeah, their format is awesome. They have CiottiFPV actually as their guest host for the freestyle competitions, which is amazing. So happy to see Zoe back in the mix. And yeah, they're just doing really, really, really cool stuff. I knew that they were doing cool stuff, but I didn't know it was this cool. It's hard. FPV is my job now, right? Like 6 to 10 hours a day, I'm doing FPV stuff. And a lot of that is like answering your guys' messages, Discord, email, Facebook, Instagram, working on stuff here, flying the stuff that I'm trying to review and beat up and test. And yeah, when I'm on the bench, I have a little bit of time to put stuff on in the background, but like a lot of times I'm putting on car related stuff, and lately a lot of like West Coast swing related stuff. So I've kind of lost touch a little bit with the rest of the FPV world. But I'm kind of doing that on purpose because I'm just terrified of burnout. Like, I want to do this forever. And I am the type of person that burns shit out. Like, I go too hard on stuff. I surround myself with it too much. And then I just drive it into the ground. It happened with airsoft. It happened with drums. It happened with photography. It didn't really happen with motorsports. Motorsport was more just a financial thing. But I'm terrified of that. And I have felt the burnout coming like strong with FPV in the past at certain times. And as I get older, I'm able to kind of like spot it sooner, and I'll back off and take a break and whatever. And I've kind of achieved a little bit of like an equilibrium here where like if I do what I'm doing, if I watch a lot of car and like non-F and DayZ stuff on YouTube, it really breaks that up and it gives me like these other interests in my life so that my entire life is not just FPV. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily know what the solution is. I just think it might be that I can't be as dialed in on the entire world of FPV, and that sort of just has to be okay. I don't love that, but I love that better than getting burned out on this and not doing it anymore, you know? So, yeah, it feels a little bit bad, but if that's what I have to do to keep doing this, that's fine. I'm willing to take that hit. What I think I need to do more, though, is, like, bounce around. Like, I watch everything Joshua does. I watch everything that Chris Rosser does. And so maybe what I need to do is miss some of those and replace them with some other stuff, right? Branch out a little bit more instead of just staying in my little bubble. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's just, man, like, there are all these times where I'm like, Jesus, I didn't know this person existed. I didn't know this live stream existed. I didn't know this, you know, like, and it just feels weird. People will be like, oh yeah, they've been going for a while. Where have you been, under a rock? I'm like, well, apparently. So yeah, I'm thinking of a way around that. Thinking of a way to make that situation a little bit better. We'll see. In the chat, Cloudhopper was first, Doubles FPV was next, SlowCal, Notice, Matthew Arose, FPV Toast, Cloudhopper, Douglas Otwell, Not Applicable, County FPV, Danzilla the Terrible, Hendrix Freakazoid, Per Side, FPV 6x1, CMY Kid, Danzilla the Terrible, Curtis Hayes, Fun Per Volt, Notice, Cloudhopper, Walter Van Dan, or Danzilla the Terrible. What's up, friends? If you want the Gangly Man to say your name, get in early, say hello. Or just type CiottiFPV into your message. When you do that, it'll light up an orange. No spaces. Exactly like it's spelled down there and up here. You can do that with each other. If you want to get Per Side FPV's attention in your message, type Per Side FPV. Spell it right. Put the spaces in the right spot. Or don't put any spaces in this case. And for that person, their own name will light up an orange. CiottiFPV.com is the website where you can support me. There's a million different ways that you can do that. Some are free, some cost you a couple of bucks. Here's the streaming schedule. Patreon helps me the most, and you can get on there for as little as $3 a month. That's 10 cents a day, my friends. You'll get access to a ton of tech articles on Patreon, full access to the Discord, 2 Facebook groups, private YouTube playlist with all kinds of fun stuff. It'll save you more than $3 a month. I can pretty much guarantee you. If you have another couple of dollars, you can get in on some giveaways. If you win one of the giveaways, you're going to get between like $50 and $100 worth of stuff, and you'll be basically a free patron for many, many months. So do it. Help me out. Join the Patreon, and you're going to love it. You're going to love my nuts, I promise. Etsy, you can buy yourself some stuff, as well as Teespring. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me or just message me. I can help you build better, fly better, tune better. And then I've got a ton of affiliate links. It's 2024, my friends. You should be using affiliate links for all the orders that you place on the internet, because pretty much every website has an affiliate program. All you got to do is change your bookmarks to my affiliate links, or if you use URL bar suggestions like I do, when I type AMA, it suggests the Amazon link that I hit the most frequently. What you can do is, off on the right side of the suggested link, there's going to be a little X to remove that suggestion. Remove all of your suggestions that you've got right now for all of these websites, and then hit my affiliate links a bunch of times, and it'll think that when you type UMMA, you want to go to my affiliate link on Umagod's website, or BRA for brain, or HDZ for HD0, yada, yada, yada. Amazon, Get FPV, Pyro Drone, Race Day Quads, Newbie Drone, Weebleed FPV, FPV Cycle, Umagod, Brain 3D, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, and Camera Butter. That's how you support me, my friends. You are what allows me to do this full-time, and the more we blow this up, the more stuff I can test. So I appreciate what you guys do. It's amazing. This has been a hell of a ride. Let's keep it going, yo. What do you think about that? For a quick shill. The quick shill. We're going to do mailbag tonight. I've got a box from RDQ that finally arrived. Good Lord, it took a while. That's where these motors are from. And then we're going to actually fly our 6 batteries tonight. We didn't last night. We ran out of time. And of course, this is a Q&A live stream, as they all are. Type CiottiFPV into your message. I will read it, answer it. The chat will also probably discuss. We have a very unique chat here if you're new. Bunch of amazing pilots, brilliant builders, folks that are just generally really smart when it comes to FPV stuff. So when there's people in chat answering your question, there's a really good chance that you're going to get the right answer, unlike Facebook groups or pretty much everywhere else. It's nice that people want to help. You know, the desire to help other people is a good thing. But what we run into an absolute mind-blowing amount in FPV is that people offer help that don't know what they're talking about. They are still on the upswing of Dunning-Kruger, where they think they know a lot, but they actually don't know anything. We want people that have fallen off the cliff and bottomed out and then started to come back up. Those are the people that we want. But, you know, that takes a couple of years, and I'm not going to say not, I was about to say not many people last that long, but yeah, there are way more people that do this for a couple of years and then bail than stay in it and really, really learn the actual answers to a lot of these problems. So be careful with that when you're asking for advice. What I've noticed on Facebook is significantly more than 50% of the answers that you're going to get are dead ass wrong. And with like 5-inch rigs, you could get hurt. With micros, you're probably not going to get hurt, but you can light some shit on fire and waste a whole bunch of money. So don't do that. Cloudhopper says, what 0702s are your current favorite for the analog 65 Ultimate? Just rewound 40,000 kV. Haven't tried them yet. May wind 0702 33,000s next. I've been playing 26,000 kV on my 65. What an awesome and timely question that is. I was actually planning on talking about that tonight. So much so that I got a whole bunch of different 65mm rigs out. Also, partly because in Mailbag, you're going to see I've got a bunch more of these micro Vs. And so we can micro V this one and this one and this one and this one. But yeah, very strangely, I actually did want to talk about that tonight. The answer is it depends on the all-up weight. For the actual like ultimate freestyle tiny whoop, right? 2G4 AIO, Newbie Drone Cockroach 65 V3 frame. Although I think we can safely move these guys over to the light AF frame. I just need to put in a Newbie Drone order to order up a couple of those. So this will probably lose a little bit of weight. But if you've got an ultimate freestyle tiny whoop with our classical formula, right? Mobula 6 canopy, Runcam Nano 3, 2G4 AIO, whatever on the antenna, get the micro V, it's the one you want. Happy Model 0702s, Gemfan biblades, although the props don't necessarily matter. The props are going to change depending on the motor KV that you run, and the Cockroach V3 canopy. This is a build that weighs 18 point something grams, 18.1, 18.2, right in that range. At that weight, at that dry weight, I really like the 0702 36,000s or 32,000 kV motors. It's heavier, so you want a higher kV, more powerful motor, right? As the weight comes down and we get into the 17 gram range, 30,000 kV motors seem like they're enough. So 30,000 or even like 29,000. This is the Beta 65 Air that I reviewed the other day on the release date. And this is the race version, which comes with 27,000 kV motors. The Mobula 6 2024 is also a 17 point something gram rig. And it comes with 28 or 29,000 kV motors. Why don't I just look? That would make sense, wouldn't it? 28,000 kV motors. And so at that 17 point something gram, in my opinion, you want to be between 27, 28,000, all the way up to maybe like 32,000. If you want something that's got crazy, really, really good power to weight. And then if you go, hey, also, we are not going to have a live stream anytime soon about modifying this, upgrading this, because there's really no weight to be saved, as I found out last night. This camera and canopy combo weighs exactly the same as the OG Mobula 6 canopy and Runcam Nano 3. I do like the Runcam Nano 3 camera a little bit better than this Beta FPV camera, but not enough to take this off and get rid of it. There's also a giant gap between this camera and the AIO, not to mention that the AIO is cut off in the front. So there should not be an issue with this camera slamming into the AIO and breaking it. So I'm going to leave this alone. Eventually, when I break one of these motors, I'm not going to buy a replacement motor. I'm going to pull these motors off. I'm going to desolder these motors. And I'm going to snag a set of... actually, I already have an extra set or two of Weebleed FPV 0702 30,500s. 32,500s. And I am going to solder those on. And when I do that, I'm going to switch the frame, because this Meteor 65 airframe, the prop guard / duct is too high for the Happy Model motors. So at that point, I will move this over to a Cockroach 65 Light AF frame with the Happy Model motors. And so that this will eventually get upgraded, but I'm not going to do that until I break this. And I flew the prototypes really hard. And they did not break. So I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. So yeah, I mean, I talked at the end of that live stream about like an upgrade path for this, and I wrongly said that, yeah, I am going to change the camera and canopy to save some weight. Here's your update to that. The only real upgrade that you would need to do to this is to change the antenna. That's really it. If you want to save some weight, pull the antenna, pull the shrink wrap, desolder the big silver ground plane, and put the antenna back on. You're going to get worse signal quality, but you're going to save 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 of a gram. I forget what it is. It's a good amount of weight that you'll save. Other than that, that's it. It comes with the Gemfan 1219Ss, which are the perfect propeller for these lower kV motors. And then it comes with the 180-degree BT 2.0, and the camera and canopy are the lightest setup that we've got. So yeah, better yet, for the antenna, get yourself a Micro V from Race Day Quads. Put the order in now. It's going to take them a while to ship it, apparently. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I got to be honest, man. Like, for a rig to not really need upgrades is pretty slick. Yeah, it doesn't have the runtime that you're going to get from these Happy Model motored rigs, but 3 minutes of runtime is pretty damn good, although when I was really pushing it, I was only getting like 2 minutes, but I was flying like a complete lunatic. Like, most people are not going to be able to push that hard. So yeah, bravo to Beta FPV for really sending a lot of these out in prototype form to get feedback, and then implementing that feedback. They did a hell of a job with this thing. I keep seeing people say, oh, you know, screw the Mobula 6 2024, the Air 65 is better. I don't know about that. The Mobula 6 2024 has motor plugs, which is a big deal. You can also make it... I feel like... I don't quite understand how this thing is as light as it is. Oh, so let me finish my motor thought. So that 17 grams, I'm using this as an example. For in the 17 gram range, you want to be 0702, 28,000 kV to 32,000 kV. And then if you can get down into the 16 gram range, you can have the kV come down even lower. I would say like 26,000 to 30,000 kV on an 0702 for something down in the 16 gram range. And so, yeah. Meteor 65 Air versus Mobula 6 2024, you know, this has not been out. So the people that say, oh, this is clearly way more durable than the Mobula 6 2024, great example of people that don't know anything. Unless they are one of the prototype testers who's put a bunch of batteries through this. My Mobula 6 2024s have been completely fine, and I've battered the living shit out of them. So for my sample size of 2 Mobula 6 2024s, they're yeah, plenty durable. They sent me 2 prototypes of these. One of the prototypes had VTX issues. One of them did not, and then this one's been good. I haven't flown this one a lot, but sample size of 3. Yeah, with a prototype, it's like, well, you know, it's not a finished product. So if it has a problem, you can't really fault it per se. But yeah, pretty decent record with this so far. The Mobula 6 2024 has been out for long enough that every single person who's had one that has blown up has jumped online and screamed and yelled about it, right? All of the people that have not had that experience have not gone on the internet and screamed about it because they're busy flying them and enjoying them. So yeah, we've discussed the reliability and the durability of this thing, and there have been a bunch. There have been a bunch of the version 1 direct soldereds that have failed right out of the box. I've heard a lot less of that with the version 2 that's got the motor plugs. Happy Model has been the company that with the 2G4 made an AIO that was as close to indestructible as we've ever seen. So for me, Happy Model gets a big plus because of the 2G4. They have the ability to make a super durable AIO. I wish that I was hearing about less of these failing, but again, they've been selling these things like fucking crazy because you can't get any other tiny whoop. So when you sell a whole bunch of something, yes, a bunch of them are going to go bad. It's way too early to tell the difference in durability, but I can almost guarantee you that in practice, there's not going to be much of a difference in durability between the Mobula 6 2024 and the Meteor 65 Air. The 2G4 versus the Happy Model 2G4 versus the Betaflight cross style AIO. There were plenty of people that said they hate both of those because they blow up right out of the box. I heard that more with the Betaflight cross AIO, so maybe now that, but I had incredible luck with the 2G4, and I've had incredible luck with the Betaflight cross style AIO. So it's so hard to tell. We also don't know how many are being sold, right? For all we know, the reason that we hear more of the Betaflight cross AIOs failing is because they're selling more of them. It's impossible for us to be able to figure that out. So, yeah, way too early to tell in terms of durability. When you see people trashing on either one of these for not being durable, remember that person's name. They don't know anything. They don't understand. They haven't been in this hobby long enough to understand what's actually going on. So make a little mental note of that. The people that, are saying like, yeah, I don't have to talk more about that. But so there you go, my friends. Great question, Cloudhopper. The Enzilla Turbo says, let's go. I'm not going to say it. Screw you. FamG said, FamG is in the house. What's up, homie? Hope you've been good. It's good to see CiottiFPV and Gang of the Gang. What's up, fam? This event sounds fun. FamG also says, saw Ciotti was streaming. Finally opened Discord again. I need to stay in touch with the community. Good to have you back, brother. Hopefully everything's been going well. Siskel FPV says, hey, power just came back on. Glad to see CiottiFPV still has power. Yo, we had a huge rainstorm roll through a little bit ago. I am happy to report, though, it was a big enough rainstorm that I could finally see whether or not the back corner downspout was working, and it was. So there should, which makes sense because there has not been any moisture on the carpet back here that I've noticed, and yeah, it's still dry this time. So all of the work that we had done to the gutters has fixed the issue of this corner of the basement flooding, which is amazing. And the front of the house didn't flood. The front of the basement didn't flood, which confirms that I just need to keep an eye. The front of the house, well, you've seen it. When I fly up to the left of the front door and I hug that little crevice and then jump over and drop down into the driveway, that little crevice dumps into the corner of the gutter. And when the tree drops branches and shit, they collect and then they fall down onto the gutter. And then when the water comes down that part of the roof, it jumps right over the gutter. And that is like right here. And then so that groundwater drops straight down the concrete wall. And then there's just this little area in between the basement and the garage where a little bit of water will seep right out from the wall on a huge rainstorm. So yeah, all I need to do is keep this. And so yeah, we twice now I got a little alarm up there that screams when it gets wet. That's what she said. And twice now, when that corner of the roof was all gunked up with shit, that alarm has gone off. And then I've cleared the shit out. I get up on the ladder all janky with the leaf blower and blow it all out. And then the problem goes away again. So, yeah, all of the flooding issues are figured out, which is amazing. We're pretty lucky where there's tons of drainage. We're on like a hill. And so the flooding really isn't bad. It's just, yeah, groundwater is groundwater. If all of the water on your roof dumps exactly into one spot and you have a basement, yeah, you're going to feel the pain. FamG says, same here, got burned out in FPV trying to come back around again. My quads are very dusty, lol. Look up RC drifting. Get your tiny whoop situation figured out and look up RC drifting. There's a group near you. It's way more popular than FPV. So there's a group near all of us. And go out and chase them. It will renew your love for FPV, I guarantee you. It is so much fun. It is so challenging and so much fun. Look them up and go chase them. They will love to have you. They will see a perspective on their little RC drift cars that they've never seen before, and they will love you. And it's so much fun. Go do it, my friend. Trust me. Siskel, we got that. WTF is a kilometer says, are 802s too small for your 75mm Walksnail? Sadly, yes. We spent a bunch of time here on live streams trying to get 0802s to work, and they are just not quite a big enough motor. So like if you come on here and you search for like Walksnail 0802, I bet you it'll find a bunch of those streams. Yeah, here you go. Walksnail 75mm 0802, 30,000 versus 33,000. Yes, we went all the way up to 33,000. 1S Freestyle Mobula 7, 802, 27,000 Walksnail build. Yeah, so I mean, you can see for yourself. We went pretty deep down the rabbit hole there. Although, I mean, that was on 1S. There is a possibility that on 2S they might be okay, but I doubt it. 2S, the increasing voltage doesn't necessarily make the motors run any cooler. I don't know how electricity works. Maybe it does, but I'm not going back. I'm not going back to 802s to continue that testing. God damn it. All right, I'll do it. I got to find a set of 0802s that's low KV at some point, and I'll test them again. What I basically figured out is that an 0802 on a 75mm rig with the extra... So when you go from 65 to 75, you gain a bunch of weight. When you go to Walksnail, you gain an extra 6 grams. And then when you go to... Well, we didn't go to 2S yet. Those two jumps in weight... just you landed with the 0802 not being a big enough heat sink, and it just got too hot. Even just like cruising around, it was hot, and then it loses performance and yada yada yada. It makes a lot of sense. 65mm rigs that are analog work with 702s. 65mm rigs that have Walksnail barely work with 702s. You can't lay into the throttle though. You go from 65 to 75 with analog, and you jump up a motor size to 802s. 802 27,000 on an analog 75 is awesome. And then when you add another 6 grams to go 75 Walksnail, you got to jump up another motor size. We don't have 902s, so we jump all the way up to 1002. But yeah, when you go up to 2S, there is a chance that the high, but see, here's the thing: the motors don't get, well, I guess they do, because you run them down at a lower KV. I'll probably end up testing it, but for now, I'm perfectly happy with these 1002 motors. They're not, it doesn't feel that heavy, and yeah, who knows of a well, wait, no. What's the lowest KV 1.5mm shaft 802? Anybody know off the top of their head? We'll go to Tiny Whoop in a little bit and take a look. But that's pretty much what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for like a 16, 17, 18,000 kV 0802 with a 1.5mm motor shaft. Because yeah, that's super interesting. I would love to save a little bit of weight on this guy, but it's got to have a 1.5mm motor shaft. This kind of makes me want to try the VCI, the lower kV VCI motors. Whatever. We have lots and lots of testing to do on this 2S Walksnail rig. So yeah, for the next 3 or 4 months, I'm sure that I'm going to try all kinds of weird shit on this. So yeah, subscribe, click thumbs up, click the bell, do all the things, and come along for the ride. We've done that with 65mm rigs. We've done that with 75mm 1S. And now we're going down the 2S rabbit hole. So that'll be fun. And we're going to start to also dive into open prop, smaller setups, 2-inch, 2.5-inch. That's coming. So stay tuned for that. I hate everything. WTF is a kilometer also says 2S Walksnail on the V3 2S frame. Yeah, that's the current setup. Good question, dude. Denzel the Terrible says you better come back and hang with us on FPV Your World. FPV Your World is that Shelby's competition, or is that Off Axis's? Where's FPV Your World? That's Off Axis's, right? I thought so. Yeah, man, invite me back. Invite me back. This is Off Axis's, right? Or is it? Or are you doing this, Danzilla? I don't see. Okay, there he is. There's Mar. I was about to say I don't see Marcel's face. There's Marcel and Koala. Okay, there you guys are. Cool. Yeah, invite me back. Invite me back. Give me like 2 weeks notice though. Zoe 101 Dog with a Blog says what up. CMYK is putting the CiottiFPV.com link into the chat. Thank you, brother. Striker says, yo. Juju says, thoughts on the Mobula 8 Walksnail 2S and the Mobula 7 1S Walksnail, or should I just build my own? If so, what components should I use? Juju, there is no answer to that. Everybody builds specifically for themselves. So you have to answer that question. I can't answer it for you. If we do a half an hour or an hour long build planning session through Fiverr, or just message me and we'll schedule it, I can ask you 15 to 20 minutes worth of questions to get to the bottom of that situation and make you recommendations. But that's not something that we can do here on the live stream because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answers to all those questions. So you can either dive into some of my previous live streams where I've tested all this stuff live and talked all about it. And then you'll get a feel for what would fit best for you. And I've also flown them on the live stream so you can see how they perform and whatnot. Or yeah, we can book a session and work one-on-one together. What I can say though is that all of these 85mm rigs, I don't really understand them. None of the frames seem to be all that durable. They become super, super, super heavy. And like the ducts stick out so far that you're going to have like a ton of duct in view. And like, it just, to me, whoops don't make sense above 75mm. 75mm, we can get tons of power and we can keep the weight down. And that's like sort of the point of a tiny whoop. If you're going to go all the way up to a 2-inch propeller, in my opinion, like ditch the tiny whoop formula. You don't want a plastic frame when you're getting that heavy and that big. Build something on a carbon frame with open ducts. You know, like once you get to that size, the reason you're doing it is because you want to go faster. Tiny whoops are not for going faster. They're for going painfully slow and shooting tiny little gaps. So it makes sense to keep them small and lightweight. So yeah, in my opinion, and I think that's most people's opinion because there aren't many of those 85mm whoops. And you don't really hear people talking about them. So yeah. County FPV says, I have a huge issue with burnout or lack of interest with hobbies. ADHD makes it really hard to stay into things for a long time. Yeah, it does. It's a sad feeling to deal with, but I always come back. Yeah, County, I don't know how old you are, but if you're old enough to have experienced it a bunch of times, hopefully you're getting better like I am at seeing it, being able to kind of see it on the horizon, and back up from it a little bit. Yeah, mental illness and burnout go fucking hand in hand, man. Yeah, it makes it way harder. But the more it happens, the more you'll be able to pick up on the signs and be able to kind of catch it early enough. And yeah, one of the really cool things about FPV is that there are so many different like disciplines, right? Like if you're flying tons and tons and tons of freestyle in parking lots, stop. Start doing long range. Start flying in the house. Start chasing RC drift cars. Start flying cinematic, right? Like any one of those things will be a new challenge for you, and it'll force you to get back into that like joyous part where you suck and you're like, well, I can't possibly suck. And you know, you go in crazy and work your ass off and feel that passion again. So yeah, those are some of my tips for you, my friend. I get it. Striker says, presume you heard about a certain situation that happened earlier with Betaflight. No. What happened with Betaflight? I'm searching Google as if there will be a news story about Betaflight. Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything about it. Okay, apparently I'm not leaving. Oh wait, no, there we go. It can't have been that bad. It's not on Google. Yeah, tell me more. I didn't hear anything. Freelojo says, did you see what Drift Games bought? They've been buying all kinds of stuff. The NASCAR, I think I saw a little bit ago. I didn't. I just saw the thumbnail. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know. NASCAR chassis are incredibly heavy. Here's a little known fact. In England, they call them ASCAR. I'm not fucking kidding. They call them ASCAR. I think it's ASCAR. But what are you doing? Don't call them ASCARs. Although they kind of are ASCARs. They're big, fat, heavy shitbirds. So, call them ASCARs. June Logo says, I have a real love-hate relationship with drift games. I don't really like drifting. I do like their project cars. What I have a really hard time with drift games is just they're just too fucking happy. And they're too clickbaity as well. Like they are way too clickbaity. And just, you know, like I can only hear you talk about the premiere of your new wheels or livery or car or suspension, or like if you say the word premiere or unveil 15 times per 30-minute edit, eventually I'm gonna throw up. And that's one of the things that they do. Everything is a premiere. Everything is, and it's a bit much. I will get frustrated and like unsubscribe from their channel every few months, and then I'll see a cool thumbnail that reels me back in, then I'll resubscribe, and then I'll get frustrated again. And like I genuinely don't like drifting, so that that kind of keeps me away a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I bounce back and forth with them. It's like that with drifting in general for me. I get super sick of it pretty quickly because I don't know. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. But no, that's everything. June Logo says, I hear all tones after plugging in, but the motors don't spin. Any suggestions? Check your motor protocol. Do they not spin when you arm it, or do they not spin in the motors tab? If you haven't tried the motors tab yet, try that. Make sure D-Shot 300 or 600 or whatever is turned on. Although it would have to be for you to hear the motor tones. if it's a rig that's in a Cockroach V3 or light AF frame, and you're running Happy Model motors, you might have the problem where the C-clips are rubbing on the inside of the frame, so you might need to drill your frame out. I have no idea what rig it is, so it's hard for me to troubleshoot, but there's a couple of things for you to check. Curtis Hayes says, regarding Lightning, unsolder the VTX bell. VTX bell? What the hell is that? And solder on a 14mm wire on the coax shield. Oh, right, the ground plane. To get the correct antenna resonance and no performance hit if you don't replace it with the PCB. Yeah, I shared 2 weeks ago on the stream very cool little, you make your own micro V, which is what Curtis is talking about, with your antennas. A little bit different than what Curtis is talking about, though. So yeah, there are ways to take whip antennas and lighten them up without killing the performance. This little super simple setup that I did is totally fine for flying around the house, but you would absolutely not want to use this if you care about video quality, or if you're like chasing the RC drift cars and you want to get some good DVR. But boy, is it super simple to just desolder that ground plane, put a little piece of shrimp wrap here, and away you go with an infinitely light antenna. For me, the micro V antennas at $7 per are the way to go. It's so cheap. It's infinitely not time consuming to just, click the button on the website and get them. And they seem to be infinitely durable. So yeah, and you're modifying, right? It always feels good to buy something, although sometimes it feels even better to build something. But yeah, Curtis, you'd mentioned that on the previous stream, and that's a really, really, really cool idea. When you take the little ground plane off of here, there's a little tiny area that you can solder to, and that's what Curtis is talking about. You got to use just the right length, and then you got to orient it at like this. It's on. Hey, it's on Discord. On the Discord, not Discord. Well, it's probably on Discord, but it's also on Patreon. I posted the image that was sent to me on Patreon. It should be under Tech Tips, if you guys want to see it, or it's probably also in the Discord. Under the Tiny Whoop and Toothpick group. So yeah, you can make your own micro V for free, because I know you've got whip antennas floating around. Thank you, brother, for mentioning that again. Burdetta says, I've recently had some issues with Happy Model Crux and Mobula 8 blowing up out of the box, but 2 Mobula 6 Ecos going well. Also a new pilot. Burdetta, if you haven't, get in touch with whoever you bought that Crux and Mobula 8 from and make them send you a new one. There's this Stockholm syndrome in FPV where we blame ourselves for everything. So when we buy a product and we take it out of the box and plug it in and it explodes into flames, we go, oh, I must have done something wrong, because it's so goddamn confusing. There's like 7,000 things for us to do wrong. But look, if you buy a bind and fly and it blows up within the first like 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 batteries, and you haven't specifically gone in and screwed around with the tune or any number of weird things, contact who you bought it from and say, hey, here's the situation. Will you send me a new one? They probably will. They will probably hook you up. Don't automatically assume that you did anything wrong. It doesn't seem like it, but there are not that many things that you can do wrong for it to be your fault that this stuff catches on fire. FPV components typically fail because the quality control sucks. The manufacturers have decided to not put any budget into quality control and then just drop the pricing of their products down. That's not our fault. That is their fault. And so unless you've specifically like done something dumb, like taken the PID sliders and pushed them all the way to the top, or you were sitting there on turtle mode in the grass, full throttle for, 5 seconds straight, it's not your fault. It's their fault. They should be making a product that you can fly 50 or even 100 batteries on before it explodes. And even if you've crashed it, like crashing it is not like if you take it out and you fly it and you crash it and then it blows up, it's not your fault. These things should be able to crash. And a properly built rig, you can crash the shit out of, and it'll keep going and going and going and going and going. So yeah, resist the FPV Stockholm syndrome of thinking that it's your fault. And, you know, at worst case scenario, you send them an email and you say, hey, I put 20 batteries through this thing. I moved the PID slider up 0.1. I moved the filter slider up 0.1, and it caught on fire. Absolute worst case scenario is they say back to you, yeah, you know, sorry, you screwed with the filters and you screwed with the PIDs. We can't help you out. At least you know, right? If you haven't screwed around with any of that stuff and you haven't, like, super abused it, send that email. Tell them what happened, and they're probably going to say, okay, thanks for letting us know. Take a picture of it, and then take a picture of it destroyed. We'll send you another one, or mail it back to us. We'll send you another one. Some companies like Newbie Drone will even like send you the new one with a return label. Don't quote me on that. They do that for me. Newbie Drone does that for me. They might not do that with everybody. Definitely don't expect them to do that. But when they ask me to help them with testing stuff, and I blow something up, when they send me the replacement, there's a return label in the box, which I just slap right back on the box and send it back to them. But that might be because I'm helping them prototype stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, you'll be surprised how many of these resellers will replace blown up products, because I'm assuming that there's an agreement between them and these manufacturers of basically like, hey, we're going to make these things super cheap, and then a bunch of them are going to blow up, and then you just send them back to us, or we'll refund you, or whatever. You know what I mean? That's like a thing. That is America, my friend. That is the most American shit ever. Put out blatantly garbage products and then run the numbers and realize that it's cheaper to just not have anybody in QC and just replace the ones that are bad, because not many people will take the time to send that email and say, hey, this blew up, you're going to replace it, right? Like, people have a tendency to just, oh, this thing blew up, fuck it, throw it in the garbage, I quit. I don't know. That's always felt very weird to me. I don't think their accounting people realize that people quit when that happens, and then you never sell them anything again. But hey, what do we know? We just fly these things. Welcome to the most insane hobby maybe ever. FPV will test your patience. It'll test your stubbornness. If you stick to it, and if you fly for a year or 2 years or 3 years, it will be the coolest thing that you've ever done. Once you get good enough that you can just go out and like freely fly around and like not worry about crashing, not worry about shit falling out of the air, it is absolute magic, and it is worth it to stick with it. It's not very expensive in terms of hobbies. The community is insane, but it is going to test your patience to the absolute bitter limit. It's better now than it's ever been. It was really bad when I got started 8-ish years ago, but it's still a hell of a test of patience. So yeah, be ready for that. Those of us that are, most of the people in the chat have gone through that, and that's what makes our little community here super unique. And so yeah, you're also not gonna, there's gonna be loads of stuff that you don't understand. That's okay. You'll hear it a second time, you'll understand it a little bit more. You'll hear it a third time, you'll understand it a little bit more. You don't have to understand absolutely everything today. Just sit back, relax, take it all in. Stuff will make more and more and more sense as you hear it over and over again. I try to explain stuff differently every time, so that hopefully each individual person will hear something in a way that clicks with their brain. These are some of the ways to stay into FPV. It is totally worth it. FamG says, thanks, I will. I was into RC cars and boats once as well. I would love to follow Drift RC cars. There you go, brother. You're you're gonna fucking die, dude. It is so much fun. It is so difficult, but it is so much fun, and I've got loads of live streams talking about it. The one thing that you're really gonna want to do is nail down turn on and dial in your throttle expo. Go to my channel here, use the little magnifying glass, and search for throttle expo. I have a live stream where I spent 40 minutes breaking it down, explaining when you want to use it, when you don't want to use it. For chasing RC drift cars, you have to use it to be able to fly millimeters off the ground reliably for 3 minutes at a time. So yeah, you're gonna need to dive into that and really understand throttle expo, because you're gonna have to change it on the fly. So yeah, that's gonna be a 40-minute thing, but Throttle Expo is something that's really magic once you understand it, and it's not the easiest thing to understand, because these certain builds you don't want to use it, and there's just this like really wide window of how it's used and when you want it, when you don't want it, how much you can run. So yeah, you just got to go down the rabbit hole a little bit with it, but totally worth it. CiottiFPV says, I'm waiting on a set of VCI 0802 2.8s in 19,000 kV and 13,550 for a 2S Walksnail 75mm rig, thinking the power is there. Very cool. What scares me about them is they're only a 1mm motor shaft. So I'm, yeah, I don't know about that, but I'll be super interested to hear. I'm actually going to wait. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole yet. I'm going to wait, since you said it sounds like you've already ordered them. So yeah, get back to me once you've put 20-30 batteries through them, and let me know if you don't mind, and I'll let everybody know. Decabacow says, I've been struggling for power on 1S since forever. Finally put 20,000 kV 0802 motors on 2S in a 75mm toothpick for my backyard, and I don't think I'm going back to 1S for outside ever again. Yeah, 1S to 2S is insane, right? Like 4S to 6S in 5-inch world is a massive difference, and that's only 50% extra voltage. 1S to 2S is the same as 4S to 8S. Always keep that in mind. So yeah, the 1S thing is great because weight. 1S is always going to be significantly lighter than 2S. Although there's a shocking amount of, it's shocking between these two, 1S 75, oh no, it's not this one, but my two Walksnail 75mm rigs, it's ridiculous how close they are in weight. But yeah, typically 1S to 2S, because of the batteries, there's going to be a significant weight increase. For things like toothpicks, it doesn't matter as much. You can make tons of power and overcome that. So yeah, 1S certainly has its place, and if you get the absolute exact right combination of motors and props and all up weight, it can be really, really good. But boy, is it tough to get there. You have to really want it, and you have to really dive in to get that perfect combo. 2S is going to be a lot easier because it's just, yeah, it's hitting the nail with a bigger hammer. And so, yeah, not totally surprising that you're saying that. Cloudhopper says RS 0802 are 1.5mm and are 20,000 kV. Not sure there are any lower kV. I completely forgot about those RS 0802s. Those are the exact motors that I'll probably end up snagging, because yeah, I could just get them and slap them on and away we go. But I will actually, let's take a quick look right now. PowerDrone has a really good selection of motors. Let's just super quick jump into the 08 motors and no, 1.5mm shaft. That's right. So there's the RS 802s. I'm curious if there's anything else with a 1.5mm motor shaft. I don't think that there is, but I do always like to check myself. Nah, it doesn't look like it. Why is it? I feel like there was another 802 with a 1.5mm motor shaft. Wasn't there somebody else that did it? That looks like a pretty thick motor shaft. No, it's 1 mil. Never mind. Is it really only Happy Model? What the hell? Why can't these other motor manufacturers get their heads out of their asses? Is this really so difficult? How is CiottiFPV not... jerks. Yeah, no, it's gonna have to be Happy Model, isn't it? I wish I had a set of these RS802s. I don't know what the hell. Oh, the motors started slipping on the shafts. Last chance. Come on now. There we go. I know these are all 1 mil. Nope. Yeah, looks like it's got to be the Happy Model RS802s. Cool. Thanks for that reminder, brother. Mount Ertzen rightly says 19,000 kV is super common in those because of Ultimate Whoop League. Yep. Actually, here, hold on. Let's see. I think there might be something even lower kV on here. Hold on. Let's see. Motors, 802. Was there not a... Can I just search for... Oh, that's not going to work. Nah, that's not going to... Oh, yeah, look at that. It does work. Hey, there it is. 802... Oh, 19,000. Night Fury. Yeah. Night Fury. That's right. I knew there was a tiny whoop motor. Oh, there's another one. Oh, and it's an EX. What? All right, hold up. Let's open all these up. Oh, nope. That's 27. We don't want that. Hold on. I want to take a quick look at that while we're at it. 1002, and there's the onesies. Okay, hold on. Let's see. So, wow. This is the Imoptera 33,000, but with 19,000. Look at this. I did not... This is the first I'm seeing this. How did I completely miss this? Interesting. So the EX motors are a little bit lighter. Although I think the RS0802s are super light as well. So I'll probably still end up going with the RS802s. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Night Fury, 802 19,000s in that cool gray color. But see, these are the onesies, onesie style. These are going to be a little bit heavier. And yeah, we're trying to save weight. So I'll probably go with the RSs. And then these are the new Positronics, but these are 702s, so we don't want these. These won't work. Is this a 3-bolt mount? It is. Oh, 11,000 kV. That's not high enough, though. You would really need to run that on, like, fucking 3S. That's a shame. That's a shame. That's why I'm not immediately familiar with those motors. Yeah, I mean, as cool as it would be to have a... Oh, and look, it's blue and green. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty hot. I might get these. I might end up getting those, yo. Where'd they go? What is this? Secret Advantage? What? Look at this. I haven't seen these before. What? What is this? 802EX, 19,000 Hex Edition. I'm assuming that these are geared towards Underground Whoop League. Secret Advantage is my new nickname for a small batch of Tiny Whoop Hex 19,000 kV motors. Give them this nickname, new box sticker. Comment, there we go. On the way, spec class loopholes are sometimes kept secret rather than made public. See below. Very cool. Very, very cool. Original 802EX motor, basis of other colors. Have you on Aerial Outlaws? Release them in purple. What's Aerial Outlaws? All right, we'll give that a second to load. Exact same motor as the Underground Whoop League approved Tiny Whoop Hex 19,000 kV motors. Because their new nickname, new sticker on the packaging, they're seen as new branding, therefore have to be retested. Oh, okay. Before allowed for use in Ultimate Whoop League. Very cool. Wow, they're testing motors. That's... Oh, man. Underground Whoop League is doing very, very, very cool things. What's the secret advantage? Spectrum loopholes. Public keeps in secret against the spirit. Yeah. Oh my god, look at all this. Holy shit. Oh my god. At tinywhoop.com, our team of professional expert engineers and mystics. Reiki infusion. Oh my god, Jesse, as always, is the fucking greatest. Oh my god, Jesse. We do not deserve Jesse Perkins. We really don't. Oh, he's the fucking best. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my god. All right, no, hold on. Where were those oh my god, these RC and Power 703s haunt my soul. I want to try these so bad. If they could have only made them with a 1.5mm motor shaft. Come on. Where were those? Here they are. Yeah, all right. I think I'm going to get these instead of the RSs because I'm supporting Tiny Whoop by getting these, and they're blue and green. Come on. So yeah, I think I'm going to snag a set of these to test the 802 theory on 2S to see if they, yeah, if I can save a little bit of weight. That would be amazing. I would absolutely love that, as you guys know. Aerial Outlaws, look at this. UWL Light 802 19,000. Yeah, it's the same motor, but in purple. Very cool. Aerial Outlaws, huh? I haven't heard of them. Are they doing like... Yeah. So, I mean, they straight up have, like... I'm assuming that they're gearing everything towards the underground. Yeah. Get started with underground. Very cool. Wow. Very, very cool. Let's see what they got. Canopy, the cool cob strips. Betaflight Cross, AIO. The different frame options. Awesome. If you're into Underground Roop League, it looks like this is the website you want, yo. AerialOutlaws.com. Very, very cool. There's that new Betaflight CO3 camera that's on the Air 65. Look at this, man. Very, very cool. Awesome. I love it. Okay, I'm going to leave this tab opened as a reminder. Where are we at in Chad? Siskel says power is there. I don't remember what that's in reference to. Oh no, I already got there. I already read that. Where are we at? Cloudhopper, thank you for that reminder on the RSO 802s. Matthew Rose says, are 1002s overkill for a 75mm analog rig? Just ordered 23,500 1002 robos from Flywoo for Mobula 7. They're not overkill. They're not high enough kV is the problem. Those robo motors are not... They do not perform like 23,500 kV should. They perform like all of the other 1002 22,000 kV motors. And 22,000 kV on 1S, on the 75mm rigs, for me, is just not quite enough power. For normal human beings, it's probably fine. But I always want a little bit more. And so, yeah, they really come alive on 2S, though. So if down the road, like me, you can just motor limit them down and do a 2S build. Although 2S would be overkill for analog on 75. Pair them up with the Gemfan 1608 tri-blades. 1002 is a bigger motor, so you don't have to run the bi-blades. Definitely get a couple of sets of the bi-blades. You might like them better. But yeah, I found that those 1002s liked the tri-blades a little bit more. But yeah, they're totally fine. It's just they don't have quite enough power, in my opinion. For that, my favorite motor on an analog 75 is 27,000 kV in an 802. I really wish somebody made a 27,000 kV 1002, but sadly they do not. Danzella Terrible says, you forget so quickly. Yeah, with me and off-axis. I knew it. It took me a second. All right, look. A lot going on. I just went on 2 vacations. They fucking etch-a-sketched my brain. Metadertson says the beta FPV fun times are all in the Discord. I need to know. You can't just tell me. Damn you. This is what my Discord looks like. Hold on. Let's disable this. I'm assuming it's in here. Anybody else is from what? Now we're going back a little bit farther. Is it in general? Is this it? Oh, what? What's that discount? Oh my God. That discount code took $243 off. What the hell? What happened there? Oh my God. Did they release some insane discount code that makes the quad free? Awesome, you saved by bundling? Did they do like some kind of a bundle and it... Oh boy. I mean, it's not the first time that's happened. They're just going to cancel all the orders. Or email everybody and say, hey, this was obviously wrong. That's funny. Oh boy. Yeah, not the first time. Certainly won't be the last time. Traeger says they sold a shit ton of Air 65s and 75s for $5, and some guys bought 25 plus. They aren't shipping though. There's no way. I got one. LOL. Yeah, they won't ship those. There's people. There's this weird thing, and they're gonna have to deal with this, unfortunately. But there's this weird thing that like people think just because they buy something that they're entitled to the price. Like, no. Like they can change that. They can just decide if they obviously made a mistake. Like in this case, they can just say like, "Hey, we made a mistake." There's no like, there's no like contract that you wrote up for them to sign at time of purchase that says like you're going to honor this price because I've clicked the right. Like you didn't do shit. You clicked a couple buttons on their website. That doesn't entitle you to a goddamn thing. People have this weird like entitlement. I guess it's because like stores like Target and Walmart let people get away with that shit, but like that's on them. You know, this whole like the customer is always right. Like that's not a law. That just because companies that have more money than God can do that, it doesn't mean that all companies can do that. America. This is the most American shit ever right here. You know what I mean? Some people bought 25 plus. What like, do you honestly... Like, do you honestly think that they're just going to be like, oh, well, shit, I guess we'll have to ship 30 of them to this person for $5? Like, what are you smoking? Juju says, do We Bleed FPV motors rub on the Cockroach Light AF frame? Yep, they do. But it's a super easy fix. 9/64 drill bit, gently put it through there by hand first to open it up a little bit, and then you can put it in a drill if you want to do it a little bit quicker. But yeah, super easy fix. And well worth it because that frame is amazing. Just don't get it in black. Get it in clear or white. Just Mo says, I decided to lay down a few hours ago and woke up 15 minutes ago. It's 10:45. How screwed am I? Very. Also, I'm adding things to my wish list. Can you share specs of your AOS Cine 3.5? I don't have an AOS Cine 3.5 anymore. I actually got rid of the frame after I built the Cine 2.5 and realized how weak the frame design was. So yeah, I'm not sure what I don't know if maybe you meant to type AOS Cine 25 or what, but yeah, tag me again and I can maybe hit you with some stuff. Christopher Conwright says, can you explain throttle mid and expo? Just a basic explanation. I tried to use it. It didn't work as I thought. Technically, yes, I can, but it's not going to help you. You have to actually learn it. You have to actually spend the 40 minutes watching from that previous live stream to actually understand it. If I break it down for you in 30 seconds, you're going to try it again, and it's not going to make sense again, and you're going to get more and more frustrated, and then you're just going to say, fuck it. So what I have to do is tell you that you have to go watch that, because it's just the only way. It's not something that you can break down in 30 seconds. It's something that takes 30 minutes. You have to really understand it. You have to understand what rigs it's for, what rigs it's not for, how the midpoint and the amount of expo affect one another. It's just, it's high level FPV. It's FPV 103, FPV 104. And because of that, you got to put time in. Some things in life, like, there are just like this. You get like suspension tuning in autocross and track days and just cars in general. This is a great example of it. Everybody wants a 30-second explanation of how to set rebound. Doesn't exist. And anybody that gives you that 30-second explanation is going to lead you down one very narrow specific path that works on one very specific car with one very specific type of driver. And chances are you're not in that exact car and you're not that exact driver. And so, yeah, there are just certain things that are at that higher level that you just have to put the effort in, and Throttle Expo is one of those things. So I would be doing you a disservice to try to break it down into 30 seconds. And it would probably end up with you getting even more frustrated and just giving up on it. And I don't want that. I want you to use it because it is fucking magic. And those of us that are willing to put the time into it, we use it and we get an incredible benefit from it. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I have to just point you towards that video. Go to my channel, search for Throttle Expo. I hit it hard once, and then there's even another live stream where I talked a bunch about it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to understand the full picture of it to really have any chance of setting it right. Mike Alwyn says, I have a Pavo 25, put in a new stack, flying great, but large throttle, it has a hard time coming down. Any idea? I don't know what you mean by large throttle. To me, what large throttle means is full throttle. But yeah, I mean, if you're full throttle, it's definitely going to have a hard time coming down because you're going to be making tons of power and it's going to be hammering up into the sky. So I'm not understanding what large throttle has to do with hard time coming down. So Mike, tag me again and tell me more, and maybe I can help you out. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up. Mo FPV is in the house. He says he's back to the Walksnail. I am indeed. We've been hitting Walksnail hard the last couple of weeks, mainly because of the 2S build is finally together, but also because Walksnail is awesome. It's really it's super impressive. Speaking of, they released $199 box goggles, which is wild. What a good deal if your eyes work with box goggles. Mine do not. Box goggles have a very short. It forces your eyes to focus on something that's basically like this far away, and that tires the hell out of my eyes. So box goggles don't work good for me. But man, for new pilots to have a $200 set of Walksnail goggles, that's rad, because then you can get a Walksnail Whoop, a Walksnail 3-inch rig, and you can have a hell of a little setup with great quality DVR that is just a blast to fly for not a lot of money. That's pretty rad. Dennis R says, I'm not going to wreck your last name, brother. I hope you're cool with that. Now that you're trying 2S, will you ever try the old Emax 0802 15,000 kV motors? Wow. Oh, okay, yeah. Their 1.5mm shaft is really short, but the 1610 fit on them tight. Short shaft makes them really durable. I assumed that motor shaft was too short for any puller style motors. Here's my question, Dennis, because it sounds like you have those motors and the 1610 propellers. So the 1610 propeller with the 1.5mm motor shaft, I'm already having problems on this guy. Well, here, let's go. We'll go all the way in. All right, so these Flywoo motors have short shafts. But I don't think they're as short as those Emaxes. Well, shit, they might be. Do your Emax motors have at least that much shaft length? If they're any shorter than this, it's just not going to work. They're just going to rip off of the motors. Here's what they look like. It's going to be a hard comparison because this is a 1002, so that's going to make the shaft look even shorter. All this shaft talk, man. If they're any shorter than this, they're not going to work. The propellers are just going to come off too often. So yeah, let me know. Let me know. They've always looked... Actually, I didn't realize they were 1.5. I kind of thought that they looked like they were 1.5 millimeter, but then I thought, no, it's an optical illusion because they're so short. It's making them look fatter. Now that I look at these T motors, I hope they have a little bit of a longer shaft than these Flywoo motors. They do not. What the hell, bro? How you gonna make your shaft so short? God damn it. Do the RC and Powers not have such a short shaft? No, they do. All of the 1002s have short shafts. Why? Why have they done this to us? Do the Beta FPV 1102s have short shafts? No, they don't. The Beta FPV 1102s have long enough shafts. Well, hell. I mean, we were... It's inevitable that we would test a whole bunch of motors on this 2S rig. What's the low K? Oh, they have... Oh, see, 14,000's too low, though. Hold on. What are the different KV options? 18... Oh, yeah, so this would be it. So eventually I'll try these. 22, 8... Oh, what's the difference here? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's on the other tiny lifter. Oh, okay. I have an extra set of these. Okay. So yeah, I have an extra set of these 1102 18,000s that I will try. Rather than having to buy yet another set of motors. What is this? 50 millimeter, 37 millimeter? What's that? What do you... Oh, the length of the motor wires. 50 millimeters versus 37. Got it. Yeah, we're gonna obviously, because I can't ever just build something and be happy with the way it flies. We're gonna try a bunch of different motors on this, so we'll see. But yeah, let me know if yeah, let me know, Dennis. I think I explained that in a way that makes sense. Christopher Conwright says, "Thanks, I'll search for that live stream. You answered after I asked. Cool." Render says, "Will Throttle Expo help bring the mid-throttle position up if you use a negative expo? I've got a quad that hovers at 70%. No, you cannot change the hover point with... well, you can... if you set the Throttle Expo incorrectly, you can change the hover point. But you don't necessarily want to do that. So yeah, technically speaking, you can use the Throttle Expo to raise the hover point. Hold on. No, you can only use it to lower the hover point. You set it... Oh, no, I guess you can use it to raise or lower. Yeah, you can use it to raise or lower the hover point, but you're probably not going to like it because... Give it a shot. Give it a try. Watch that live stream. Get an understanding of Throttle Expo because it's amazing. And then play around with setting the midpoint. Add a bunch of Throttle Expo. Add like 40 to the value, to the amount. That'll give you a good S curve instead of a 45-degree no expo setup, and then move the midpoint up and down. So like if you're hovering at like 17%, move the midpoint down to like 10%, fly it, see how it is. Move the midpoint up to like 30%, fly it, see how it is. And you never know. But technically speaking, no, you can't really. If you set the throttle expo properly, you're setting the midpoint exactly where your cruising point is. And so it's not going to change the cruising point. But you can maybe fudge it a little bit and just give your, instead of 17%, maybe bring it up to like 19%, which might be just enough. If you've got a rig that hovers at 17%, that is probably a build that has way too much power. So motor limiting or throttle limiting is probably a better bet for you. But then you're going to lose some power. Or it just has a weird set of motors that, so yeah. Here's what I'll say. If that rig doesn't have just an absurd amount of power, at some point switch to a different motor. Motors should not have that low of a hover point. But there's a bunch of different things about motors that control where they put power on, and so you might just have like a weird set of motors. And just switching to another brand of motors in that same like size or kV will potentially fix the problem. Metadarkskin says there's a bunch of 19,000 1.5mm shaft like the Night Fury motors on Tiny Whoop. You are correct, my friend. We got there. Great minds think alike. Drones in FPV says Aerial Outlaws is Isaac, who is the Ultimate Whoop League guy. Got it. Makes sense. Makes total sense. Good for him, man. Very, very cool that he's doing that. It's brilliant to have that website and to sell that stuff direct. Kevin Sumner says they yanked the faulty bundle while I was trying to check out. You greedy bastards, you. I did the same fucking thing. Cole Power, because like, you just put the order in and like maybe they'll send it, but like for the record, don't get mad when they don't, you know what I mean? Cole Power says if they don't ship for advertised price, it's bait and switch. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but no, it's obvious, like, let's not bankrupt an FPV company and have one right, because them selling 7,000 of those bundles for $5 each, if they actually did send all of those out, they would go under. We would no longer have beta FPV, and that would be a bad thing, right? So like, let's not do that. Kevin Sumner says some of this stuff falls under false advertising. Yeah, I mean, you guys are right, but like, you know what I'm saying. Striker says, I'm still pissed. What I'm still pissed about is their shitty customer support. It's been a month. My replacement motors still aren't here. Pretty sure it's an AIO shoe anyways. Yeah, I don't know. Customer support in FPV is, if you get any customer support, you're doing pretty well. So, yeah, it kind of sucks, but yeah, I don't know. Cole Power says, if it wasn't illegal, everyone would list products at a loss and cancel orders when it got popular. Sure, but again, like a 95% discount. Come on. Curtis A says there are certain states like California where if the price is wrong, they do have to sell it for the advertised wrong price. State laws are different per state. That's scary. Just Mo says, I remember you talked about how you use an AOS Cineframe, but don't remember which one. So I checked Joshua's site, but didn't find info on it. Do you still recommend what's on Joshua's site for a Cinewhoop? Actually, no. At the moment, the best Cinewhoop is the Avata 2. If you don't have the money for Avata 2, I don't blame you, because they are absurdly expensive. Yeah, for me, the ultimate build on Joshua's ultimate Cinewhoop build on Joshua's site is dead on the money. Other than the frame, there is now a version 2 Cinesplorer frame, which I just have not had the chance to switch mine over to. I will at some point here, but yeah, everything else on that Cinewhoop build on Joshua's site is still dead on the money. Just Mo says, I just want 3.5 to put a full-size GoPro on. You want 3" to put a full-size GoPro on. I've flown every single gig on a 3" rig, and they have plenty of power. Look, if you want a Cinewhoop, the only reason to build a Cinewhoop is to go slow and be controlled and shoot real small gaps and whatnot. And 3.5 inches not that. 3 inches that. You know the point of a Cinewhoop is you take the payload and you build the smallest, lightest possible rig for that payload. And that's what 3" is. 3.5" Cinewhoops, yeah, they're gonna have more power, but they're gonna be heavier, and they're gonna want to go faster. And that's not what a Cinewhoop is for. It's the opposite of a Cinewhoop, right? If you're gonna build a Cinewhoop, build it for what it's meant to be built for. If you want something that's bigger, heavier, faster, don't build a Cinewhoop. That's not what they do. You're flying Cinewhoops, trying to fly Cinewhoops fast is not fun. It doesn't make any sense. And what happens is all of these 3.5" Cinewhoops just sit up on the wall and they don't get flown. You fly them a half a dozen times and then you're like, this doesn't make any sense. It's not as fast as an open duct rig. And I don't, yeah, it just doesn't really make sense. There are very, very, very few scenarios where a fast Cinewhoop makes any sense. Because when you're going fast, you're not flying around people, because people don't go that fast. But every once in a while, there will be a scenario, but that's super, super specific. So yeah, 99% of people want a 3" Cinewhoop. The hype train is what's telling you that 3.5" makes more sense. Resist the hype train. The hype train is there to sell product. It's not to get you into the correct product. It's to just mash all kinds of shit down your throat and take all of your money. That's not what I do. Mike Alwyn says, sorry, what I meant was after a large throttle blip, gotcha. It just wants to keep flying at 0 throttle. So you said that you put a new stack in, and that's where this started. So probably what's going on is that your gyro is bad, or you've mounted the new stack incorrectly, and it's getting more vibrations into the gyro. So either the gyro is bad and you need to replace the flight controller, and there's nothing that you can do about that. If the gyro is bad, it's bad. It's a physical thing. You have to replace the flight controller. If when you were mounting the new stack, you didn't mount it exactly like the old stack was, or if the gyro in the new stack is more sensitive than the gyro in the old stack, you could have a problem where more vibrations are getting into that gyro, and so the gyro is vibrating more, and then the PID loop is trying to correct those vibrations by firing the motors up, and that's what is not allowing the motors to get down, to spin down. And so one of the easiest ways that you can troubleshoot this is to take your master multiplier slider, which is probably at 1.0, move it down to like 0.7, and see if the problem gets any better. If that helps the problem, then you've got too many vibes getting into the gyro, and the gyro is potentially not bad. And now you can first look at the mechanical system. Look at how you mounted the stack. Make sure that the 4 screws that the stack is mounted on are solid. These screws cannot move around. This will never fly properly. Either those screws have to go through the carbon fiber base plate and be solid because they've threaded into that carbon fiber, or if the carbon fiber holes are loose enough for that screw to move around, you got to put a nut on top. Those 4 screws that stack is mounted on must be solid. They cannot wiggle. That wiggle is going to cause problems like this. And that could have potentially happened when you were switching the stacks out. So there's a whole bunch of stuff for you to check. Switch your propellers to make sure you don't have bent props on there that are causing the extra vibrations. Also, check your motors to make sure your motors aren't vibrating. Take the propellers off, hold the rig in your hand, and spin the motors up in the motors tab or with turtle mode, and spin them at a relatively low RPM. If you've got one motor that's vibrating really hard, a lot harder than the rest, replace that motor. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff for you to check. June Logo says, is the new Beta FPV 65M Whoop Diamond AIO, is it compatible with Walksnail VTX? I'm assuming 65M is this AIO. I mean, you wouldn't want to run it with Walksnail because it has a VTX built in. So you're going to have like double VTX, which is kind of silly. But technically, if there's a way of turning the built-in VTX off, which I don't know if there is, and then if there are the right pads, you might be able to do it. So there is a TX4 and RX4, so you can use those to talk to the Walksnail VTX. And then there's a ground pad there that you can use to power it, and then you can power it off the battery leads. So you can certainly power up and get OSD onto the Walksnail. The big question is going to be, and I don't have the answer to this, is there a way to power down the built-in VTX? If not, then you can't do it. It's going to be blasting RF. It's going to get too hot. You're going to not have an antenna on it. If you don't have an antenna on it, it's going to get too hot and overheat. If you do have an antenna on it, it's going to be shitting all over the Walksnail, right? You're going to have so that's the big question is, can you power down the onboard VTX? In my opinion, just get the Beta FPV Cross AIO. That does not have a VTX on board, and I've got 4 of them that have been running on these Walksnail rigs with no problems. So yeah, there's the full picture. Just Mo says, that's what she said. Shane Hale says, Tattoo 300 and Nitro Nectar 300 are loose fit for Mobula 6. Any battery recommendations? They're all exactly the same. All of the folded cell BT 2.0 batteries are exactly the same. Tattoo sells them. Well, the Nitro Nectars are pH 2.0. I will never recommend pH 2.0 ever again. The performance, when you go to BT 2.0, you get more power and more runtime. There is like nothing that gives you both of those things. It's always one or the other. So yeah, it sounds like you might not have switched over to BT 2.0 already. You need to, Shane. It is a big deal. And once you do, Tattoo, Tiny Whoop, Weebleed, Beta FPV, Dogcom, and there's 1 or 2 more that sell folded cell, black, 300 mAh, BT 2.0 batteries, and they're all exactly the same. They're also the same as the Nitro Nectar 300. So, yeah, I don't know why you're having a loose fit on Mobula 6 problem. I haven't had any issues. Although I don't run the frame. The frame that comes with the Mobula 6 breaks like instantly for me. So I replaced the frame like right away. So maybe that's why I don't have that problem. But if they fit, if the problem that you're having is that they fit too loose, just do a single wrap of electric tape around them, and problem solved. I have to do that on these Tiny Whoop 300s, and it's super easy, super quick. Dennis R says the Emacs are shorter. I have a 1S build with them for my brother to learn. The 1610 hold up just fine. Maybe 2S power would be too much, but another prop doesn't fit on them. Just 1610. Yeah, if they're any shorter, they're just gonna come off. I'm already starting to look at as we saw a minute ago. I'm already starting to look at which 1002s or now maybe 1102s have a longer shaft, because these. I've been getting like 2 or 3 batteries on this before one of the propellers throws itself off, and I've already done my little trick with making the propellers tighter. So yeah, if those Emacs shafts are even shorter, that's unfortunately going to be a bit of a deal breaker. That sucks though, because 15,000 kV is like right on the money. But I would actually rather have slightly higher kV so that I can motor limit down. So Render says it doesn't have a ton of top end power. It's a sub 250 ultralight 5-inch. I don't remember what we were talking about, Render. I'm scrolling up to try to figure it out. If you guys can, like, try to copy and paste your previous message, because like sometimes it takes me a half an hour to get through this stuff, and then for me to have to then scroll back up all the way through the chat to find it. Oh, here we go. Oh, excuse me, Jesus. It's the rig that hovers at 17%. Okay. Where were we? Oh, come on, fuck. Where was it? There it is. Oh, god damn it! And YouTube just did the thing, you motherfuckers. There we go. It doesn't have a ton of top end power. Oh. It's a sub 250 ultralight 5-inch rig. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, this is why sub 250 5-inch rigs are not very popular. That's gonna happen. Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, but try it. Try to learn Throttle Expo, because it's a great thing to learn, and then screw around with it. You might be able to make this situation a little bit better. Brad Bonded says, my Walksnail 1S board shit the bed. Can you buy just the VTX only? You might be able to, but do this. They'll repair it, replace it. Go to Cadix's website. There's an item on their website for... I actually have to do this with mine. I have a blown up one. Apparently, yeah, they will replace it. There's a... I should have a tab opened. I do indeed. Yeah. Here it is. I'm dropping the link into the chat for you. Do this, and they will repair it or replace it. And a couple people have said, yeah, it's super easy. Just do it, and away you go. But the answer to your question, I believe, is yes. They used to sell just the VTX. Paulie New says, do you have a build list somewhere for your recommended 65mm Walksnail builds? I tried watching a few of your Walksnail videos, but wasn't sure which one you recommend. I don't think I do, but I mean, it's super simple. It's just, where is it? Whatever. It's whatever frame you want. I prefer the Cockroach 65 V3. It's a lot of like, yeah, I mean, there's not like a recommended build because I'm an insane person. It's 702 for me. My favorite Walksnail 65 build is Cockroach V3 frame. Although, why don't I put it in the... I need to get more of these light AF frames. So here it is. Yeah, there's no... Really, at this point, the Cockroach V3 frame, for me, the value is the little hooks so that I can run the Batwing mount. So I can get no props in view. But really, that's just for cinematic tiny whoops, which is kind of an oxymoron. But for me, it's for the RC drift car chasing rigs. So yeah, whatever frame you want, either, in my opinion, Cockroach 65 V3 or the Light AF, Cockroach Light AF frame. Betaflight cross style AIO. And then just the Mobula 6 canopy, whatever props you fancy. Buy all three of the good propellers. Buy the Gemfan 1210 biblades, the Gemfan 1219S tri-blades, and the HQ tri-blade YOLO props. Motors, it's kind of your choice. I prefer, because it's heavy and I want as much power as I can get, the Weebleed FPV 0702 40,000s. That's probably a bit much. You might want to step it down to the Tiny Whoop 0702 36,000s, or maybe even the Tiny Whoop or Weebleed 32,000s. And then, yeah, mount the camera however you want. There's two options. There's a Betaflight canopy, and then there's this Mobula 6 canopy that you can make work. But yeah, that's it. There's only like a couple components to these builds. BT 2.0 for sure, and then the folded cell 300 mAh batteries. That's kind of a given. Any Tiny Whoop you want to be running that stuff. So yeah, super straightforward. Kind of a pain in the ass to build, if I'm honest. You're going to need to find some M1.2 by 12 screws. You can get them on eBay. But yeah, you'll dive all into that. You should probably watch one of the live streams, because yeah, you got to get the stack height perfect between the two boards. This is one of the reasons that I don't have a build list, is because it's not a rig that like a build list is going to work. It's a rig where you have to watch somebody build it and go through the figuring out the board height and figuring out, grommets that are going to be tall enough. So yeah, if you're looking to do that build, my number one suggestion is going to be to watch me do the build and talk about it. Spend the time, put it on in the background while you're working on something else, and dive into it, because It's not an easy build. It's not a hard build, but there's just some very specific things that you need to get right, or the boards are going to slam into each other, or they're just not going to work at all. So, AntBVTHC says, "Are you flying the 1002 18,000 2S indoor?" Hell no. I probably will tonight because I'm a dumb person. But yeah, I will never fly it indoors again. It's way too heavy. 75mm rigs in general are too heavy to fly inside if you want to have fun. Can you fly them inside? Sure, but it's not fun. They're too heavy. You can't do anything really, like, you can't do any tricks. You just try not to destroy everything you own. And that's really not fun for me. 65mm are for inside, 75mm rigs are for outside. Mike Alwyn says, "Thanks, brother. Screws are definitely loose. I'll fix tomorrow. Shoot you a message on Discord." Very cool. That'll do it. That'll do it 100%. Paulie New says, "Thanks for the tips. You're certainly welcome." And we are caught up on chat. Wow. 10 minutes left in the live stream, and I finally get caught up on chat. That's okay. You guys ask great questions. Let me, let me let some more of this footage play. I forgot to play this footage the other day. Of me actually jungle gym bashing this thing with the Flywoo motors, and I'm going to start pulling these motors off and swapping these motors on while this is playing. So yeah, here you go. Here's some actual jungle gym bashing of this Walksnail rig. I was not flying all that well on this particular day. It was stupidly hot out. So yeah, this is not a great representation, but jungle gym bashing these Walksnail rigs is very difficult. I don't really know if I'm going to call this a jungle gym basher anymore. We'll see as I get it more dialed in if it's realistic, but the extra weight is, yeah, it makes them a lot less accurate. Like, if you want to jungle gym bash, you kind of want the... You kind of want to stay analog, I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but and time will tell. There we go. Time will tell. But yeah, I'm starting to think, because look, jungle gyms, the distance between the gaps is as small as when you're flying around the house. And when you're flying around the house, 75mm rigs are gigantic and feel way too heavy. And so, yeah, I didn't really, like, kind of put two and two together with that, I don't think. But I'm still glad that I'm going for it and trying. But, like, see this? Like, it's just, everything is so close together. It's really, really, really hard. So, yeah, these 2S 75mm Walksnail builds might just be the Walksnail outdoor build. You know what I mean? It might not be a jungle gym basher. The 1S 75mm analog rig might be the jungle gym basher. And that's okay. That's totally fine, you know? So, all right. I don't necessarily want to talk over this, not that I'm even watching it. But yeah, you'll see. I mean, this is... Have you ever seen a more stubborn person in your life? I burned like half of my fucking batteries because I refused to take my fucking goggles off and walk back to where I was sitting. But this was kind of fun. And scary. Mainly scary. Anybody else do this? Is it just me? It's incredibly hard to do this. It's incredibly scary to do this. And then look what I do now. I take my goggles off. What an asshole. It's just like the stupidest thing ever. I was specifically like, oh great, I'm going to actually jungle gym bash this thing. And then I didn't just do it once. I did that shit twice. You'll see. But yeah, here you go. Here's some proper... I don't know. I was really not... I was happy with the power, but I was not happy at all with the maneuverability and just like the weight of this thing. Trying to like shoot all these tiny little gaps like I do with the analog rigs. So yeah, this was a little bit of an eye-opening kind of thing for me. It's and that's what kind of led me down the path to show you guys the 1S and 2S footage and try to trick you into not knowing which one was which. Because yeah, the 1S Walksnail 75 for jungle gym bashing doesn't have enough power and it's too heavy. This, now I have enough power, but it's too heavy. And so, yeah. Still fun, and we can still do some stuff here, but like, I want to be shooting that gap there. I don't want to be going under that. I want to be shooting the gaps in like that, see? And like, I can't get through there. It's heavy and it's moving all around. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep going. This is still super early days, but thus far, I have a funny feeling that, yeah, for what I really want to do at these jungle gyms, it's going to be analog only, which is hysterical because, like, for what I want to do inside the house, it's analog only. And like, these Walksnail whoops are very cool, don't get me wrong, and they're very fun to fly in 1080 or 720 and get this awesome fucking footage, but like, what it's kind of turning into is that when you put Walksnail on a tiny whoop, you've built a Cinewhoop. And that's something that we talked about probably 6 months ago. And I kind of feel like I should have listened to myself. But I don't know. This is, I'm ripping here. You know what it is, though? This is, I don't really feel in control. I'm just throwing it at these gaps and hoping that it goes through and just happening to get lucky a bunch. And like, maybe once I've done it more, I'll start to come around and kind of get it a little bit more dialed in. But I don't know about that. The long and short of this is that the spacing and the size of these gaps in these jungle gyms is pretty much exactly what we're flying in our living rooms. So really, it's, and the most fun that I've had flying jungle gyms has been with 65mm rigs. But the problem is, if there's any wind, you get absolutely obliterated. And so the 75mm jungle gym basher analog rig is like just kind of there where it can fight the wind a little bit more. But it's still just barely light enough to shoot all the gaps. The other problem with Walksnail outside like this, as you can maybe see, is the jello. Flying it like this, you're going to beat the living hell out of the motors and the props, and then you're going to have just outrageous jello. With freestyle, that doesn't really matter as much because, you know, it's about the gap that you throw it through backwards, upside down. That's super cool. It's not, you know, it's not, nobody's looking for like cinematic perfection. But yeah. Notice says, is more power not the answer to combat the weight? Not when you're trying to shoot, not when you're trying to fly extremely technical. When you're trying to fly super, super technical, right? Small gaps, quick direction changes, stuff like that. Weight is the only thing that matters. Extra weight makes it slide around, and then you have to work a lot harder to deal with that. And so, yeah. Weight is everything when it comes to things that fly. If you talk to anybody in the aeronautic world, they will, and you say weight is everything to them, you'll get like a knowing nod. As soon as you put something up in the air, weight makes the most difference. Power is a band-aid. Weight is, yeah, where the majority of the flight characteristics are going to kind of come from. And what's cool about saving weight is you get extra runtime, extra efficiency, and you don't have to make as much power. So yeah, the focus with these tiny whoops needs to be on weight, not power. I've been guilty of focusing too much on power in the past, but at those times we didn't have a way of saving weight without drastically hurting durability. And so there's this little like triangle of weight versus power versus durability. And if you go too far in one direction, the other two suffer. You got to balance those things, and that balance is very difficult. So there it was. There was the jungle gym bashing, and now me just railing it around the house, which I did show on yesterday's live stream. But as this has been playing, I've now got the T-motor 1002s screwed down to this Walksnail 75 V3 frame. And so I can just plug these motors in while I weave in and out of the tree branches. We'll throw it into Betaflight, get the motor spinning the right direction, and recklessly fly this thing around the house. And hopefully I don't destroy everything in the living room. I'm going to fly it pretty tame so that I don't destroy everything. All right. Thus far, I am very impressed with how good the 75mm Walksnail performs, and it could be the perfect garden rig. Like, as you see here, this is a perfect example. This might be what this 2S 75mm Walksnail rig is for, is flying around your garden, because you got a little bit more space there. And with the Whoop frame, it's going to make it much more accurate than the open prop builds that I find to be excruciating to try to fly around the yard. If you want to try to shoot gaps, which you should, because it's the fun. Just floating around like in open air is just like, you know, you do that for a few batteries and you're like, well, okay, now what? Do I just fly down the street again? If you're just going to fly down the street at 1,000,000 miles an hour with a toothpick, you know? If you want to shoot small gaps, you got to have ducts. I mean, you don't have to, but you should, because it makes it way easier and way more enjoyable. All right, let's get some props on here, and we will see what's going on with this. I'm going to use this set of propellers. I'm going to set this up. I've been pretty much setting all these Tiny Whoops up, props in. I am really impressed with how this 2S rig drops altitude coming up in this flight footage. Actually, there's a point where I dropped this thing straight down, and it absolutely did not wind the motors up at all. Should be up here somewhere. Yeah, it should be after this. So yeah, I'm gonna keep building these things props in, setting these things up props in, I should say. Here it is. Ready? Watch this thing drop straight down. No wind up at all. Look at that. That is props in, man. Super impressive. Really, really cool stuff. All right. The shafts on these T-motor 1002s are the right diameter. These propellers are fitting at the right amount of like tightness, where I don't think I'm going to have immediate issues with them coming off. Could be wrong, but we'll find out in a minute. All right, cool. Props are on. Let's get this thing plugged into the computer. So this is, what's this? This is one of the ones with the wacky little breakout plug things. And the plug is on the side. There it is. Bottom there. All right. What do we got here? There we go. All right, we are plugged in. And cool. Let's get rid of this. Fire up Betaflight. J. Deeg says, what motors and frame did you end up liking most for the 1S Walksnail 75mm? The 1S build, which I actually have to swap the canopy on, Meteor 75 airframe. And then at the moment, I'm running the VCI 0802.8 27,000s. But I also really like the Betaflight 1102 22,000 kV motors. I thought that they were super fragile, but they might not have been. I need to revisit them. But I'm really pounding the shit out of these VCI motors right now to see if the motor shafts, which are only 1mm, will hold up. So yeah, stay tuned. I don't. But either one of those motors you'll probably have a good time with, or The RC and Power 1002 22,000s, they're also pretty good. They don't make as much power, and weirdly, they don't have as much runtime as the Betaflight 1102 22,000s. But they do seem to maybe be more durable, but yeah, again, I have to revisit that. So I can't give you a straight answer on that. Any three of those motors, though, I think most people will be happy with. That's what I can tell you. All right. Let's get the motor direction straightened out here. Okay, good. Props in, correct. Props in, correct. Hey, I could have just put this thing up in the air. Awesome. Stop motors, close. I'm going to fire this up in turtle mode to clearance these propellers in. All right, we should be good, though. I shouldn't have to do anything else. All right, time to get sketchy. So, if you have a motor that is making that noise and hitting on your frame, one of the easiest possible ways that you can rub that motor in is just to fire it up in turtle mode, and it will when you spin the motors normally, the blades, each individual blade makes thrust in the downward direction, and that makes the blade bend up. When you spin them up in turtle mode, they send thrust up and the blade bends down. And by bending down, most of the ducts on these frames are like that. And so by bending the blade down, it's going to rub even more, and it's going to clearance both the duct, the frame, and the propeller itself. So that's a super easy way to rub them in. I thought I just saw a super chat, but it didn't pop up in the chat here. Maybe it just needs a second, or was that somebody subscribing? I think maybe that was somebody subscribing. Although CMYK just messaged me, so maybe there's something weird going on with the stream. Hold on. Oh, he jumped off the stream. Gotcha. If he says if you need those Emax 15,000 kV motors, I have a set. I'll never use them. Yeah. Down. Yeah, a set for free. I'll absolutely throw them on and try them. Although, here's the problem with this frame is that this Mobula 7 75 V3 Mobula 7 V3 frame, it's the supports that these propellers hit on. So you got to be a little careful spinning these things backwards. Here's what the propellers look like that I've been taking off of this rig. The tips, that one's not that bad. There you go. So you can see the tip of the propeller is all bent the fuck over. And it's breaking the tips off. I've been straightening these back out with my fingernails, but yeah, you can see there it's broken the tip off. I don't think this Mobula 7 V3 frame is the one. But I want to keep running it until it breaks. See, there you go. The whole tip of that prop broke off. This prop is now unbalanced. So, yeah. I was hoping that these motors would be a little bit taller, but apparently not. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Maybe it won't be that bad. On the flywheel motors, though, it sucked a little bit. I need the... Excuse me. I need the Walksnail goggles. Shit. I also need to set the Walksnail streaming setup up. Hang on. All right. So I got to plug some stuff in, friends. Hold up. It's only 12:05. It's not too bad. I was thinking it was going to be way later by the time I was ready to fly. Okay. HD60S Plus plugged in. Now I need Walksnail goggles. Here they are. And this is arguably my favorite t-shirt of all time. This shirt was very difficult to get a hold of. This is the official BBC Top Gear James May Captain Slow shirt. I had an eBay. A friend of mine that knew I loved Top Gear was over in England for a little while and sent me. She also knew that I loved James May. and she sent me one of these shirts, but it was a small, and it was just like ever so slightly too small. And so I set up an eBay alert for this shirt in medium. I had that eBay alert set up for many years, like 3, 4, 5 years before one of these popped up in a medium, and it was like $30-something, but I didn't care, and I snagged it. And I absolutely love it, and I don't wear it much. I don't really wash it much. I don't wear it much. I only really wear it on these live streams because I stay like sweat free. But yeah, there you go. There's a little inside baseball on this shirt. I really do think that this is my most coveted like t-shirt. Like if I lost all my t-shirts, this would be the one that I would be like most upset about. Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, I need to change the transmitter battery out. It was yelling at me last time I was flying it right towards the end of the session. AJ Farr's in the house. He says, have you tried 3-blade props on that since it has all the power? I have not. I'm not impressed by any of the 1.6-inch 3-blade props. These 1610 bi-blades are just the goddamn best. They make more power than the tri-blades, and they're significantly more efficient because they're bi-blades. So yeah, there's the Gemfan 1608 tri-blade. It's not bad. It's not a bad propeller, but it doesn't really do anything better than these, other than maybe have more grip. But that's just because it's a tri-blade versus a bi-blade. At some point, I will with this rig to try to maybe get like with the extra weight, it's sliding more, and so the tri-blades might help that a little bit. I don't typically find that to be very true though on these, because like the sliding is happening like this, and the blades don't get any of that. Like the tri-blades versus bi-blades, they only really make a difference when you've got like this angle, and they're like here, for example, right? If it's sliding like that, it doesn't matter if it has a 50-blade propeller on it, right? The ducts themselves are what's slowing it down and preventing it from sliding more, and the weight, how much it weighs, right? Once you start to turn it up like this, yes, now the propellers are going to make it slide less, but I fly very flat. I coordinate yaw and roll a lot in a very like cinematic flying style. So for me, how many blades the propeller has doesn't really help much, if at all, with the slidiness. So yeah, the bi-blades make an extra power, being lighter for better response time. They're a lot lighter actually than the tri-blades, so the response time is a lot better. Yeah, these things all like stack on one another, and the 1610s are just insane. Notice says he had a 3-blade plop once. Oh shit, you guys are gross. Ew. Yeah, one wrap of cloth tape, and these Tiny Whoop batteries fit perfectly in this V3 frame now, for the record, in case anybody was wondering. That was an issue that I had before. All right, 2S in the house. Here goes a terrible idea. Don't do this. Especially don't do 2S Walksnail in the house. Why is this camera so loose? I gotta take a look at that. There might be something weird happening here. Hey, Teddy, you might want to keep your distance from this one, my furry friend. This is not the rig that you want to go shoving your little snout in. Yeah, I've now got version mismatches on a whole bunch of these rigs. I gotta update more of these rigs. Buddy, I want you to back off. Okay? I want you to back off. Look how much more adorable this dog is in HD. Oh god. All right, so let me get the little bit of turtle mode. Oh god, it's motor 3. No, buddy. No. All right, so it's motor 3 and it's hitting really bad. Oh my god. Hold on. Oh wow, it's hitting something awful. I'm just going to bend this one blade up. It's just one of the blades. It's clearancing. Oh! Well, I just got hit by a piece of plastic. Yeah, it broke the tip of the blade off. It broke the tip of the propeller off. That was stupid. Whatever. They're clearanced. Let's see. Oh god, the VTX is so hot. Oh god, it just... Oh, it got too hot. Look how quick it comes down in temperature, though, when you blow on it with your big, stupid mouth. Alright, motors are fine. Let's get it upstairs. Oh, this is also motor limited down. This thing is kind of loud to be flying upstairs. Oh, man. So these are actually motor limited down quite a bit. Let me pump these up. These are motor limited, although it's probably... I should probably leave it alone for in the house. But... yeah, no, screw that. It's not in rates. It's in it's definitely not in rapes. It's in miscellaneous PP. So yeah, I had them down at 70%. I'm gonna move. That was 22,000 kV. We'll move these up to 80%, and I'm just gonna leave it there. For outside, I might continue to push it up more. Ooh, wow, that makes a huge difference. Jesus, what's the hover point? 22, 23. That's about right. Oh man, the fan's on. This is a whole other level of noise up there. Wow, okay. The motors work. This is not an indoor rig, and it's making a whole bunch of noise at beyond midnight, so I'm going to bring this on back downstairs before I piss off the extremely understanding people that I live with. One thing I am noticing, these Walksnail light cameras, they need to get their shit figured out at the factory. They're having a really bad issue with dust on the sensor. In the bottom right corner here, there's a big old chunk of dust on the sensor. You see it there to the left of the Malibu bottle? That's sensor dust. If I shake the camera, that piece of dust will move. That's annoying. One of my... my 65mm RC drift car chasing rig has the same thing, and it's very, very annoying. Man, the tune is absolutely dialed. Yeah, this is kind of pointless. I can't really tell anything from doing this, other than that it does fly. I'm just barely good enough to be able to fly this around here without crashing into everything, but boy, is this tough. I'm going to be nice to these batteries and bring it in now, and we'll see what that battery bounces back up to. So yeah, it flies. It flies in the house. Scary. Scary, scary. So now watch this. I'm gonna flick this light camera, and that piece of dust is gonna now move. It'll probably move off the bottom and be gone, hopefully, unless there's a little bit of static electricity holding it where it's at. But yeah. But see, the problem is now I hold this thing sideways and upside down to plug the battery in, and that piece of dust moves back around the sensor. So it's like every time I fly the damn thing, I have to remember to like sit here and do this before I take off. You know, it's just obnoxious. So yeah, we're not learning anything here, but the motors are well balanced. There's no weirdness or insanity, and that's a good thing. See, look, now that piece of dust is gone. Right? Oh, nope, it's still there. It's still right there. You can see it moving around a little bit. Very annoying. Jesus Christ, this is a lot. Oh, boy. Oh, I can't believe I almost got it. Jesus This is terrible. Oh god. Too much. Much too much. Woo. Oh god. Ooh. Oh no, it's back behind there. Son of a bitch. Oh! Thank you, B-Rad. You didn't miss anything. I did the exact same thing that I was doing. B-Rad's watching the stream. Very cool. What's up, homie? Hey, brother, are you gonna do a 3-inch version of the Raxus by chance? We've now got 400 grams to play with when flying over people. Rich from Hyperlow has already sent me a 3-inch a 3-inch frame to screw around with, but I always gotta have 2 of everything, and I would love for the other one to be the Raxus. So yeah, if you're willing to do a 3-inch Raxus, I will take mine apart and put it into that. That would be really cool. I was super impressed with the 2.5-inch Raxus for the 2 batteries that I flew on it before the goddamn 6S battery blew the ESC up. Which has nothing to do with the frame, but still. I really want to drop down into that cube gate, but it's a terrible idea. We got it. We got it. We made it happen. What's up, Spaghetti Monster? Jesus Christ! And this is still at 80%. So it's still like, got a bunch more power to go. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done, but we're almost good. Oh boy. Oh god. No, no, don't kill! Whew. Oh! We did it. So yeah, you can fly these things inside the house. Don't, because every crash is an insurance claim waiting to happen. Yeah, look at how much the elevation is bouncing up. You can really tell that it makes way too much power. Oh boy. Oh god. Teddy, keep your distance, please, friend. I got it! We did all the super hard thing. Not all the super hard things, but let's try one more super hard thing. This is dumb. This is dumb. Oh! Oh, God! Don't kill me! Oh, it's on my foot. Don't... Oh, God, Teddy. Alright, that's enough. That's fine. We're good. We flew 2 full batteries in the house. Nobody died. I didn't destroy anything I own. That's a massive accomplishment. Yeah, these motors feel totally fine. They feel exactly like the Flywheel motors did, but I'm flying it inside the house, holding on for dear life, so I'm not really going to be able to... That's a flying concussion, AJ Ferris. Ferris says. Yeah. Oh, shit. So yeah, I'll get this outside to actually push these motors, and I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're totally fine. It's just, it's good not to have to motor limit quite so far down. Motor limiting down to 70% is not that bad, though. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence whether or not to say, like, if you're going to do this build, get these lower kV motors. Because, like, what's kind of nice is if you do this build and you get the 22,000 kV motors, and for whatever reason you decide to go 1S down the road, you're cool. The 22,000 motors will work for 1S. And then you just motor limit it down to like 70% for 2S. It makes an awful lot of power, though, motor limited down to 70%. And I don't know how long the FETs are going to last with that much punishment. So yeah, I can't really speak to that. But I don't know if you're willing to risk the AIO. That's a pretty cool setup. Is to get 1002 22,000s, motor limit them down to 70%, 65%. You don't want to go any lower than that because you're going to start to lose throttle resolution, and other weird things apparently can happen. But you've got a set of motors that, if you decide against 2S down the road, you can run them on 1S and they totally work, and they're really decent. Because these 18 or 19,000. These 18,000 kV motors will not make enough power on 1S, period. Like, it will not be fun to fly. So these are 2S only. I'm probably going to end up running these outside at like 90% throttle limit. So, yeah, very cool. They're blue. It looks good. I dig it. They're well-balanced, which I know that you would think that motors being well-balanced is a given. It is absolutely not when it comes to micromotors. Micromotors are impossible to get balanced perfectly. And so there are a bunch of micromotors that are just not balanced right out of the box. So that's a big deal that these are well-balanced enough to not try to fly away. The tips of these props are already starting to get banged up by these ducts. This is not the frame. If you're going to run 1002s, this Mobula 7 V3 frame is not the one. The supports for the ducts are just too high, and the tips of the propellers bang into them when you crash, and it chips the tips of the props off, and then you got to replace the prop because it's out of balance at that point. So yeah, these are not the right. This is not the right frame, I don't think. I've got 3 more frames to test. We'll get there. Yeah. I don't know what to do with these Flywoo motors now. I think that's all I got for you tonight, my friends. Did we do all the things? No, we did not. Oh, no. This is a box from RDQ. You already got to see the motors. I already showed you the Micro Vs. I forgot how many I ordered. I'm kind of bummed that I only ordered 4. I should have ordered 6, but I'm gonna put all 4 of the. I'm gonna install all 4 of these after the stream. I didn't get 5. I used to get 5, and I always recommend that you guys get 5 of every motor. I got 6 of these motors because one of these motors I'm gonna send to Butterfly FPV. I'm trying to send him 1 of every motor that he doesn't have in his testing so that he can unwind them, micrometer the windings, and continue the learning. So yeah, fresh T-Motor 1002 going out to Butterfly FPV once I've gotten a bunch more of these motors together. I snagged an extra Runcam Nano 3 because I'm terrified that they'll go out of stock forever, and it's my favorite Tiny Whoop FPV cam ever. This is a set of HQ sub 250 branded 51mm tri-blade. I don't know why I got these. I buy propellers that I don't have because they're cheap. That's why I bought them. This is a set of HQ sub 250 branded 40mm bi-blade Whoop propellers. I think I already have some of these, but yeah, trying some new props. And then this is a set. This is the same thing. Nope. This is the 1.5mm motor shaft version. Yeah, I want to try these propellers on the Jungle Gym Basher and on the Walksnail 1S 75mm rig with the 1mm shafts. What else? Oh, and then I snagged a couple sets of these. These are kind of hard to find. These are Gemfan Hurricane 4937. I have tons of the Gemfan 4934s, I think they are. And I absolutely love them, but these are a little bit more pitchy. Those are 4134s, I think it is. These are 4937s. So yeah, I'm going to give these a shot on the 5-inch rigs at some point here to see if I like the extra pitch. And that's it. There's your mailbag for the evening. Was it good for you? It was good for me, man. It's always good for me. Those can go there to remind me to test them. This can go over here. Now we're good to go. I guess I didn't fly 6 batteries, but go to hell. We flew 2 batteries that were way sketchier than 6. So yeah, that's enough. It's 12:30. We'll fly more on Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out, friends. I love you. Bye. Did we do all the things? Hold on. Mailbag, 6 batteries, Q&A. We certainly did the Q&A. Juju with the last comment of the live stream, he says, what foam do you use in your Walksnail goggles? Newbie Drone. Newbie Drone foam on everything. It's just the best. They I don't know how they... Matter since says Stevie Wonder rides again. Yeah, the Newbie Drone foam on every single thing that I've got has Newbie Drone foam, and it's always amazing. So, yeah, do it. Be good, my friends. I'll see you next time. I'll see you Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. I'm not ready. Here's some more flying at the little Airbnb house up in Elegy. Might be cool. I was flying bad that day though, so it might be shit. Love you, bye. Why is there no music on there? Oh, I know why. The music's gonna fade in.